Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so excited to have Amy Landry with us. Amy is a full-time yoga teacher and practitioner of Ayurveda, yoga's sister science. Amy is known as a health and lifestyle evolutionist. I'm constantly inspired by your work, Amy, on the social media pages, and I'm so excited to be sharing your message with everyone today. Amy's work has led her to teaching around 15 classes a week in corporate yoga, private one-on-one sessions, running workshops throughout New South Wales, facilitating international retreats, and speaking at many events. So welcome, Amy.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Thank you so much. So I didn't want to cover too much because I wanted you to tell us a bit more about your personal journey and what led you to being a yoga teacher and practicing Ayurveda.
Well, I guess it's a long, complex story, and there's always many twists and turns. From literally the moment that I was born into the world, I was very unwell, and I spent many years, first years of my life in hospital, and as a child was very, very unwell and very sick, and had a lot of respiratory issues and immune issues. And this continued all the way through my schooling into adulthood. And yet I was a very active and energetic child and loved life. And I did a lot of dancing, and I was always just very involved in lots of different things. And yet I struggled at the same time with my health, and there was this constant sort of, I guess, a battle between just trying to be healthy and being able to breathe and get through every day, because I had many, many sleepless nights, and yet trying to do all the things that I loved. And I pursued a career in professional dance, in many forms or many different styles of dancing. And yet during this time, I sustained a lot of injuries. I, at this time, have a count of 15 injuries in my body. Yes. So, and I think at the time I was working on a dance contract in Macau in Asia, which is very close to Hong Kong. And I sustained quite a severe injury, and then I was also hospitalized due to another issue, and that was my last contract. So I was sadly forced into retirement at that point. And I'd been practicing yoga for a few years. A friend of mine, when I was working overseas, introduced me to the style of Vinyasa yoga. And what I loved about Vinyasa yoga was I loved, yoga in general, I should say. I loved the alignment and the technique. It sort of had these parallels with dancing, and yet it was so much more than that. So it was breath control and just awareness on breath. And for someone with massive respiratory issues, this was a huge relief and beautiful experience for me. And also the mental aspect as well. And as a teenager, I really was seeking a spiritual path, and I was so confused and didn't really know what that path looked like. And so when I found yoga, it felt like this perfect union or marriage of all these elements that I'd been wanting to explore or integrate into my life. So when I was forced into retirement from dance, I had continued my yoga practice and had to come home and was forced into, the everyday real job or day job. And it was great, but I knew that I wasn't fulfilled. And I think just one day I realized, I thought, I need to share this. I need to teach this. All I wanted to do was yoga all the time, and working in the industry I was in just wasn't resonating, despite the fact that the people I worked with I absolutely adored. So I went and did my first teacher training, and it was on this particular training, my very first training, that I met a now very beautiful close friend who lives in Byron Bay, and she was the one that introduced me to the Ayurvedic system. So it was there in my first yoga training that she introduced me to this beautiful healing system. And at that time, she was a practitioner of Ayurveda herself. And I literally picked her brain every single day and wanted to learn more and more and more. So that was the beginning. And from there, long story short, I went into a lot of yoga teaching. It was obviously the right path for me because literally the day I got home from my teacher training, I was offered my first position at a studio. And yeah, and everything snowballed from there. And it took a couple of years, or a few years really, for me to become formally qualified in Ayurveda. And yeah, and that's how I got to this place. So now it's my mission to infuse the two systems back together, which is how they were originally practiced.
Yeah, they align so well, and it's so awesome that when you speak with people and you hear their story, it's like everything leads them to this place, and it's a continuing journey. But there's so when we look at where we've come from, and everything, really does happen for a reason, which is amazing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And coming to this place on this path has been very organic, and perhaps you could say synchronistic, but it's very you start to settle in and realize that you're doing what you're meant to be doing, which is great.
Yeah, and like with your story, you start taking this path which you sort of led down, and then you find Ayurveda, which is sort of like, it's awesome. So good. So now that you're on this path, what's like your mission or your ultimate message that you want to share with the world?
My biggest message is to help people to live in alignment with their environment. So the seasons, nature, earth, the climate that they live in, and to also live in alignment with their own values. So what it is that's truly important to them, their truth, or what resonates deeply for them, which I really find through the yoga system, the yoga practices, how we sort of explore finding out what that actually is. And yoga and Ayurveda have a very, very, very close and beautiful relationship and connection that has sadly been lost. And I think with the popularity of yoga in the West, Ayurveda is definitely coming up behind that, and more people are finding out about Ayurveda. And with this movement in the West for people being attracted to holistic health and natural health and approaches in general to all kinds of ailments and illness and disease, when people hear about Ayurveda, it resonates for them so much. It makes so much sense. It's like finally that deep intuitive voice within us jumps out at us when we start to hear about and try to understand the Ayurvedic system. Yeah.
So on your journey, you've been, we're just talking about before, you've been overseas and traveling quite a bit. And you've just been to India, which is amazing. I can't wait to go there one day. What were you doing there?
So this particular trip, I went to North India. I went to Rajasthan to study. I was there for a month studying under my teacher. I actually studied classical Indian dance. So through my love of yoga and Ayurveda, I've fallen in love with pretty much anything that comes out of India, whether it's music or the arts, etc. And so through another teacher training course that I did a couple of years ago in Bali, I was blessed to find out from another teacher about this school in India. This teacher knew that I had a pretty traumatic experience giving up dancing, and I thought that I dealt with that and I was okay with that, and I'd found this new love for yoga and Ayurveda. And yet I had an experience in Bali that made me realize how much I had not dealt with the fact that I no longer danced anymore, and this was something that hadn't healed within me. So this teacher told me about the school in India, and I looked it up immediately, and I was just blown away, absolutely blown away. And it's a classical Indian dance school, and it is for foreigners, this particular setup. So you can go and study. The school is open once a year, and the style of Indian dance is called Odissi dance. So it's one of the original classical dance forms. And we go there six days a week, all day, and we study classical dance, but we do yoga in the morning, and we do pranayama and meditation, and we have beautiful, incredible philosophy classes. So that's where I've been this time. I've traveled a lot around India. I'm kind of obsessed with the place and highly recommend visiting the country. It's just colorful, mystical, magical, and transformational.
I've heard so many good things about India. It looks like an amazing place. And your videos, I was watching your videos on Instagram every time. I was like, oh my God, I want to get there.
Yeah, you can certainly get some beautiful pictures and have absolutely deep experiences and interactions with people over there. The culture is divine.
So on that, it might not necessarily be from this trip, but what is one of the biggest lessons you've learnt from traveling to India?
So the biggest lesson, and there's been a tremendous number of lessons that I've learnt from being in India, you know, because of its contrast and its challenges and its beauty. But I think the biggest lesson that I have learned from spending time over there is that you do not need a lot to be happy. My life is so simple over there. I do not have a lot of stuff with me. I travel very light. The conditions that I live in are very, very basic. You know, occasionally we might have hot water, but I'm very acquainted with cold water showers or buckets of cold water, and very simple bedding and no heating, no appliances, of course, no TVs, you know, even no internet and this kind of thing. So realizing that I can have very little and be extremely happy. And when I'm in India, there's no other place that I want to be, even in this really simple state. And I think that this lightens the load. You know, we carry a lot of heaviness with ourselves, with all this stuff that we accumulate and these attachments that we have to so many things. And when they're taken away from you and you realize how happy you can be, it's very peaceful. It's a very beautiful experience.
That's, such an amazing message, especially when you're traveling as well. You really can do it basically, and a lot of people don't. So that's awesome. So
we don't need the luxury.
Yeah, exactly. And we can still have an amazing time.
Absolutely.
So what's a more practical tool that people watching can use in their everyday life? You talk a lot about living in alignment, which is really, really great. So guiding them towards living in alignment. Is there something that you could share with us?
There's many things, but probably if I'm considering, and you know, living in alignment can be thought of in every single element or aspect of someone's life. We can apply that sort of concept to all areas of our life. But you know, I think it's important to focus on health and general wellness. And so in the Ayurvedic system, regularity is so important. So what I mean by that, to be a little bit more specific, is that having a regular routine, so waking up at the same time, going to bed at the same time, eating your meals at the same time, just having consistency, because this creates a sense of ease and harmony in the body and takes away any potential confusion or weakness in the body. So when the body is confused, then it weakens the body and makes you more susceptible to stress, to falling sick, just to feeling anxious, etc. And regularity in the body creates this sense of harmony and safety and therefore strength. And the digestive system therefore knows what time of day it is and what function it's supposed to be doing at that time. And the mind settles more, the body rests better or more deeply in the evening or at nighttime. So I think regularity is key, and regularity is a big, big thing in Ayurveda. It has a very close relationship to, for those of you out there that know a little bit about Ayurveda, it's got a close relationship to Vata or the Vata dosha, which could say a lot about, but Vata, we live in a bit of a Vata aggravated lifestyle with going, doing, rushing, striving, stressing, anxiety, doing too much. You know, these are all very Vata aggravating things, and we live in a Vata aggravating society. And the one way that we can help to balance or to calm this Vata excess in our body, in our minds, is to create stability. Stability comes from regularity. So yeah,
that's awesome.
That would be it.
So while we're on that topic, do you have a daily routine that sets you up for the day or the week? Or
again, in Ayurveda, the routine focus that we have is the morning routine. So how you start your day is how the day is going to end up. I think there's a quote about that: how you spend your day is how you live your life, or something along those lines. But in Ayurveda, we place a big emphasis on the morning routine. So as in line with what I just said, waking up at the same time is really important. But in Ayurveda, we really recommend and promote waking up by or before the sunrise. So, of course, the time of the sunrise changes depending on the time of the year, but you want to wake up before sunrise. And perhaps if that's a little too complex for you to sort of know every day, then waking up before 6 a.m. So we wake up before 6 a.m. or 6 a.m. at the absolute latest. So for me, that's my practice. I tend to wake up between 5:30 and 6, depending on the time of the year. So in summer, I wake up much earlier, and then in the winter, I tend to wake up around 6 o'clock. And then immediately I go to the bathroom and I scrape my tongue with an Ayurvedic copper tongue scraper, highly recommended, and brush my teeth, and then go to the bathroom. So you're literally getting my daily routine. And then I'll come out and I will make either a cup of tea or have, it would be a herbal tea, have some warm water. If I'm choosing to take some Ayurvedic herbs, I might take them at this time. It depends on what my teaching schedule is on the day. So if I'm not teaching an early morning class, I'll do my home practice at this time. So yoga, pranayama, and a short meditation. And then I get on with my day. So shower, breakfast, etc. And that's it. So I know that probably sounds very basic or perhaps simple, but to have this ritual and consistency is what helps keep me grounded and know that I've at least implemented some basic practices of self-care. Some mornings, if I have time, again, I will do Abhyanga, which is an Ayurvedic form of self-massage with warm, normally cold-pressed black sesame seed oil. So I highly recommend that practice. In the summertime, coconut oil is okay, but coconut oil, we don't recommend it in the cooler months. As you can see, when you look at it in the jar, it is rock hard. So therefore, nature is telling us it's not the oil of choice in the cooler months. So so these kinds of things, but that's my basic structure. Of course, there's a little bit of variation there, depending on my schedule of that particular day. But those few things just make me feel set and ready. So.
And it's so nice just to have those things that really make you feel good, and you can look forward to when you wake up every morning.
Definitely. And it's such a beautiful thing to rise with the sun. It's such a beautiful experience. So
cool. So you've done some awesome things with your life. Where do you get your inspiration from?
Yes, so I definitely get my inspiration from the times where I spend a lot of time in space and stillness and quiet. So perhaps when I go away for study or trainings, or even just in my own home practice, sometimes I just have these, insights that come to me intuitively and unexpectedly. And these are probably the insights that inspired me the most, in that they give me the most clarity around what I want to do and my mission and that sort of thing, the choices that I make in general. However, of course, there's many books that have inspired me and shaped me and definitely changed me. I read predominantly nonfiction books, and I do tend to read quite a bit. So books in general shape what I teach in my classes and shape who I am as a person, and even down to my behavior, not only my beliefs, but my behavior and the way I strive to conduct myself in all interactions. And then finally, there would definitely be a handful of people in my life that have shaped who I am and that inspire me greatly. Two, I mean, they're all worth a mention, but two that I'll mention that strongly come to mind in this moment. Two women. One would be Elena Brower. She's a New York City yoga teacher. I followed her work for a few years online, and then had the blessing to meet her a couple of years ago at the studio in New York and practice in her classes. And what she embodies is just incredible. It's quite indescribable. I just say go and check her out. She's just amazing. Yeah. Her work is amazing. Her classes. She's a life coach as well, and I've done online life coaching sort of courses with her. Everything she does, I'm just in awe of, and literally changes me. Everything changes me and helps me become a better, greater human being.
What was her name again?
Elena Brower.
Elena Brower, okay.
Elena Brower,
we'll pop her details in the email.
Please do. She has a beautiful online meditation course that she's recently launched, and a beautiful book as well. And if you're ever in New York City, go to her studio called Vera Yoga. It's right in the city there. And the second woman that has and continues to shape who I am and inspire me on a daily basis would be my teacher in India. She's actually American, but she's lived in India for 15 years, and she set up this school, and she's a renowned classical Indian dancer. She's also a yoga teacher of the Vinyasa Krama system, which is a very traditional yoga system, and a life practice, definitely. And I admire her so much. She's so inspiring and dedicated and devoted. And if anybody I've ever met in my life is living their dharma or their purpose, it is her, without a shadow of a doubt. She's incredible. So her name's Kalina Shakti. She has this incredible school in India, but she travels the world offering retreats and workshops and courses. And so if you're interested in immersing yourself in the culture of India, I highly recommend checking out everything she does and what she stands for. It's just incredible. Amazing. Beautiful.
Awesome. With all the people that you've spoken about, we'll make sure we mention them in the email below, so everyone watching can find out the amazingness of all of these people. So what's on your agenda for this year?
I have a really exciting year. I always have exciting years, though. I'm very, very grateful. This year I have a retreat coming up in Bali in June, the end of June, which is sold out. And then I have a retreat coming up in North India at the end of September, in the school holidays in September. There is one female space left, if anyone out there is curious about coming to India. And I have another couple of retreats in the works at the moment. I also have an ebook in the works at the moment, which will integrate both yoga and Ayurveda. So that should be coming out very soon. Keep an eye on my website for all that information. And then I have a couple of other things brewing behind the scenes, which I can't quite disclose at this stage, but a big project and a really exciting thing coming up. So
can't wait to hear more.
It's really exciting. So it's having to reach out to other people to support me and actually making this happen, but it's going to be fantastic, and I can't wait to share it with everyone. But retreats, definitely traveling, more study, of course, teaching locally in Newcastle, and workshops as always, and that sort of thing. So yeah.
What a fun year. So what's the one piece of advice that you would give someone in a younger generation, or something that you would have liked to know when you were growing up in your teens or when you were younger?
I probably would say that you don't need to know now what you want to do with your life. There's plenty of time. And with the world that we live in, there are so many opportunities out there, and we can do and be whoever we want, whatever we want, and there's always time. There's always time. So just enjoy life and trust that the right things will come up at the right time, and you will be guided, you will be led to doing what it is you love. And if you don't know what that is right now, it's okay, because you will be guided and you will figure it out. So
Yeah.
enjoy.
Oh, that's so good. Thank you. So where can everyone watching find you? What's, first of all, your website?
So my website is amyelandry.com. E is for my middle name, so amyelandry.com. Of course, I'm on Facebook under Amy Landry. I have an Instagram account. You can find me under Amy E. Landry as well. Of course, I'm on Twitter, so I'm definitely involved in the social world. And if you're ever in Newcastle, I teach at a couple of studios in Newcastle, Verve for Life in Warners Bay and Yoga Loft Newcastle. So please come by and say hi and come and take a class. I'd love to meet you and share a practice with you.
Excellent. Well, yeah, we'll share the website link in our email as well. So thank you so much, Amy, for your time today and sharing your message with us. And we can't wait to hopefully work with you more in the future.
Thank you so much for your time. It's been lovely chatting with you, and I look forward to doing so again.